Today's announcement is about rounding out the new management team and changing the way that I and my office reach out to Southern Albertans. As everyone knows, we're a big province. We're nearly, I think, 2.5 times the size of the United Kingdom, with only about 1/15 of its population. And 2/3 of Albertans live in 2 major urban centers, which are 3 hours apart, and the rest are really, relative to global patterns, are distributed pretty sparsely across a very large, beautiful landscape in this province. And so for that reason, the Alberta government has always operated a southern office, a place here in McDougall, to provide access to Albertans essentially from Red Deer south. And so over the summer, I heard from Albertans that we need to do a better job of connecting with Albertans, a better job of listening, and a better job of understanding the priorities of Albertans. And so people have told me as well that the McDougall Centre is a great facility, it's a great asset, but that it has not been used to its full potential. And like many other government offices, it just hasn't been particularly lively. From my perspective, it has been shuttered for too long, and so we're going to change that. And we're going to make our Southern Alberta office a hub for government, business, and community activity here in downtown Calgary. This is a building for Albertans. It's a building for our communities. They should meet here. They should have the opportunity to meet with their elected representatives here. Children should be introduced to their government here at McDougall Centre. And so above all else, I want Albertans in the southern part of our province to know that this building represents a direct line into my office. And so I'm very pleased this morning to announce to be specifically here with the Albertan who has agreed to take on that task. MMA has agreed to join my team as the new executive director of McDougall, the executive director of the Southern Alberta Premier's Office. Ms. May is a passionate community advocate with a strong community connection here in Calgary and across Southern Alberta. Her leadership, I think, has been on display. It's action-focused, and the time after the 2013 flood here in our city. She served Albertans well and has certainly impressed me. She's found success in her careers as a realtor, prior to that as a corporate lawyer. But what has really stood out and impressed me has been her dedication to the city, to the province, and to her neighbors. And so many Albertans, I know particularly Calgarians, will recognize Emma for her role as the president of the Calgary River Communities Action Group. And so Alberta is under new management, and McDougall is under new management, and Ms. May is a perfect fit for that responsibility. And so I'm announcing that here this morning. Emma, congratulations. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions. Well, there may be some of that, and this will be Emma's responsibility to determine that in the days ahead, Don. But, you know, generally, I think this building should be bursting with life. People who want to meet their MLAs, want to meet their elected representatives, cabinet ministers, myself as premier, should be accessing this building. I want to see it, bustling with life. I want to hear school children coming here to learn more about their government and to see what a cabinet room looks like and a caucus room looks like. We want to see art from our communities here. We want business leaders coming. We want, organizations from our cultural side here. And so I've talked to Emma about this. She can certainly speak to it, but the task at hand is to take this facility and make it more of a center of what goes on in Southern Alberta related to our communities and our government. I hope you don't feel that you're not welcome here, because you are, and this building needs to be welcome to the media as well. I mean, we'll need to deal with that. I mean, clearly the building needs to be secure and it needs to be safe, but I mean, it speaks in a sense, your question speaks in a sense to the philosophy of what Emma and I have spoken about. We want this building teeming with life. I mean, this is, a fairly important institution in this city, and there was a time when there was a lot more going on here, and we want to see that brought back. I'm not entirely sure, but I've long had an understanding of when Peter Lougheed renovated this facility, what it would be used for, and I think over time we've moved further and further away from that purpose, and so this needs to be a centerpiece of Southern Alberta in terms of contact between our communities and government, and it's going to be that again. Certainly, yes, yeah. Certainly. Well, let me speak about this, the latter part firstly. My experiences are, I've been the premier, I think, for 17 days or so at this point. But so I'm going to go back to the experiences I had before I became the premier, and they are direct life experiences with my mother, who passed away in a healthcare facility in this province about a year ago. Almost a year ago to the day. And our family experienced with her a great deal of difficulty because of exactly the issue that you're asking about. There were not adequate long-term care facilities, and so she spent most of the last several years of her life in and out of a hospital, basically occupying a hospital bed, which was the only place she could possibly be, where she could get appropriate care, but there were no long-term care beds for her. And, I lived through that with my mother, and so I've had a sense of this over the course of the last several years. And I've been speaking with Minister Mandel and with our cabinet about the importance of moving forward to build these long-term acute care beds. It's going to be something that we're very focused on. Minister Mandel will have more to say about this in the days ahead. As you know, he's been quite focused on the challenge and the implications that this is dictating for the rest of the system in terms of access to beds and so on. So my experience is direct and it's personal, and I intend to fix it. Well, right. They will be opening more long-term care beds because it will be a priority of the government to get them built and opened. And I think it's been clear from the comments I've made and the comments that Minister Mandel has made that we see this as one of the critical blockages in the system, and we have to deal with it. And so, it'll be dealt with. In terms of the management of AHS, as I have conceded repeatedly in the past, I think it is the biggest single management challenge for the Alberta government. It's now consuming close to 50% of our provincial budget, and Albertans expect that the system is going to work better than it currently is. We have wonderful frontline care workers. They're frustrated, and we're going to need to do a better job, and the minister and I are focused on that. The short answer is yes. Well, I'll be speaking with the minister about that later this morning and discussing it with him and see what can be done on an interim basis. But it speaks to the very problems that we're discussing. Yes, sir. Well, the Department of Finance's projections for Brent and WTI prices, I think they've been publicly disclosed. I don't have them at my fingertips here, but I had a discussion about this earlier in the week. And going forward over the next several years, the prices that we have budgeted, we are within tolerance. Clearly there's been some slippage in the international price of oil, but this is not entirely unexpected, and we're within tolerance in terms of Alberta's finances at this point. The broader implication to the question you're asking, though, is access to global markets. At this point in time, the differentials have been reasonably modest, and that's had a positive effect on Alberta's finances. The prices that we are achieving for Alberta's oil, while not identical to international prices, are probably better than they have been for a number of years. Whether that situation holds or not depends on a pretty complicated range of factors, but most significant amongst them is takeaway capacity. It's our ability to export Alberta's energy products into the continental marketplace, and secondly, into the international marketplace. The reason I have been speaking passionately about the importance of access to tidewater is that our prosperity as a province is tied not just in the long term, probably in the intermediate term, to our ability to access global prices. And we can only access global prices if we access global markets. And going forward, energy in the continental marketplace will continue to sell at prices that are discounted from world prices. That means Albertans are not receiving full and fair value for one of the important commodity that we sell from our province. And so we have to have access to tidewater. This is not a business issue. This is an issue for every Albertan. Certainly, I've been saying this for the last 7 years of my life, that we are headed into a circumstance where the North American market is oversupplied. And, we are a costly producer in that environment. We have a valuable commodity that's important, but we have to access another customer. We have to access a second market. I've been saying that repeatedly to anyone who will listen in Canada for the last 7 years. The United States is an important customer. I hope they will always be our best customer. They're an important ally and a friend, but the point I've been making is they cannot be our only customer. Well, I don't think it's part of a broader trend, but again, everyone in the energy business knows that access to tidewater is of such fundamental importance because we have to achieve global prices. And if we don't achieve global prices, and if people don't have line of sight through pipeline access to achieving global prices, it will begin to have a negative effect on investment in our province. And right. Well, in the past, when I worked as a banker, I used the term of market failure, which is simply to say we'll hit circumstances where if we can't access international markets, we'll hit circumstances where the North American market is congested, and we will get substandard prices. And so that's why pipelines in every direction are so important. And if we can access tidewater going to the east, that ameliorates the situation. If we can access tidewater going through Keystone to the United States, to the Gulf Coast, that helps the situation. But certainly our competitive advantage as a province lies in the Asia-Pacific basin. And, that will continue to be a strategic focus of mine as Premier. Certainly. Right. Right. I don't know as the report is finalized. I know that the analysis of McLean as an alternative is still underway, but I've been told in the clearest of terms that the environmental implications of proceeding there are very difficult, and that the report, when it's finalized, will indicate that quite clearly. It's not to say that it's impossible, but it will involve almost certainly an extended approval period, and it will be much more complicated. In light of that, that had a bearing on the decision that I made, which is that we need to get on with it. We've had ample time for studies. We need to start constructing flood mitigation that's going to protect High River, Calgary, and the cities and towns downstream. And the most cost-effective, environmentally sensible solution are the ones which I announced last week. Again, that's all in process. It's being worked on. There was an RFP put out, and there is an engineering firm working on that at this point in time. And they're doing the detailed design as well. Well, I think you need to speak with them. I mean, these are individuals that, in the case of Mr. Hancock, David Hancock has dedicated essentially his adult life to the people of Alberta. As somebody who's been in elected office, he's fulfilled those responsibilities. I think everyone would agree with, as an honorable person with distinction. There's been a lot of discussion, a lot of study in Alberta, a lot of changes in terms of the rules that apply to MLAs and the compensation that they're paid and the pension system. We now have a system in place that's quite clear. Mr. Hancock served under, I think, at least 3 different regimes, and this is, what he would be paid under the rules that were approved. This was done several years ago before I entered provincial politics. Right.
Do you feel is there a need to, you have to smooth over relationships with your next unit that has happened office, the city's criticism of Alberta office? Have you had discussions with him since?
Yes, I indicated a day or so ago that I spoke with him. I called him on Friday, and we spoke. He was away on the weekend. I spoke with him on first thing Monday morning, and he and I have a very positive working relationship. We'll continue to have a very positive working relationship. He appreciated the call. We had a frank discussion about his perspective and my perspective, but we have an excellent working relationship. And I simply made it clear that based on the information that I have as the Premier, I think that we've had ample study. It's time to get on with the construction of flood mitigation, because I'm very concerned that on my watch there will be another flood occurrence. And I want to make sure these projects are going to take some time to construct. And I think it's in all of our interests that we get them done as quickly as possible. And it's clear to me on the information that I've received from Department of Environment officials that the most cost-effective and environmentally benign things we can do are the 3 announcements that I made last week. The southern diversion on the Highwood, secondly, the Springbank Dry Reservoir, and thirdly, a new operating agreement with TransAlta that will provide protection for Calgary to the extent that we possibly can. I'm not suggesting, I've never suggested that these are the only things that can be done, nor have I ever suggested that we won't do additional things, which are currently under study. But these are the most immediate, obvious, and cost-effective steps, and so we're going to get on with them. Mr. Bell.
Alberta has a sunshine list. The government of Alberta has a sunshine list of employees. There are members of the City of Calgary's council who would also like a sunshine list, very similar to the one that the Alberta government has. But they were given legal advice yesterday that under existing provincial law, they are unable to have the same sunshine list format as the government of Alberta because of FOIA concerns. And Service Alberta confirmed that yesterday.
I see.
In fact, they're not allowed to. If they were to approach you, the City of Calgary would approach you and say that they would like whatever change of legislation, whatever legal roadblocks, eliminated, so that they could have a sunshine list based on the more or less the format of the provincial list. What was your thoughts?
I'd be fully supportive of that. They've not approached me at this point, so I'm not aware of the statutory provisions, but they can obviously be changed. I'm fully supportive of transparency. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Sorry, one last question from Don. I appreciate that. Well, I door knocked a pole on Monday night, and I door knocked a pole again last night. So I essentially completed, we had a full team of door knockers out with me on both evenings. I'll be out door knocking again tonight. And so I'm going hard at it. I think you probably know this about me and my time in political life. I love door knocking. It's one of my favorite things. I like getting to the doors. I like talking to people because people in the confidence of their own homes will express themselves very clearly in terms of what they think about what's going on.
What are they saying?
They're saying they're very happy with the leadership changes in Alberta. They're very happy with Alberta under new management. And they're impressed with what's been done to this point. They want to see more of it, and but I've received an overwhelmingly positive reception at the door, and I'm going to keep door knocking, and I welcome other contestants to the race, and I look forward to earning the trust of people in Calgary Foothills. Do you want to door knock? Well, we'll figure that out certainly. Thank you very much.